All right, so you want to get smart. Not get a degree and write research papers smart, but genuinely smart. The kind of smart that actually helps in real life. The good news? You don't need decades of schooling or a PhD. You don't even need a genius IQ score. In fact, most of the things you need to become smarter have nothing to do with intelligence itself. They're about learning to think in ways that make sense. And yes, it's way easier than you think. So, what does getting smart mean? For most of us, it's not about solving the next big mystery of the universe. It's about knowing things that make life easier. We're talking useful skills, skills that can help you make a bit more money, solve problems on your own, understand the world a bit better, and maybe even impress a few people in the process. But more importantly, it's about learning things that actually stick. Now, you might have already tried the classic brain hacks like drinking green tea, listening to Mozart, or spending 12 hours a day on a language learning app. These are fine and all, but there's only so many times you can refresh your Duolingo streak before you realize you still can't order food in French. The trick to getting smarter isn't about these hacks. It's about going a bit deeper than surface level habits. The first big key? Reading. And I don't mean just any reading. Most people either dive into super specific self help books or jump to complex nonfiction, expecting their lives to change overnight. But the reality is, reading a mix of things is what actually helps. Fiction can boost your imagination and vocabulary. Nonfiction gives you practical insights you can use right away. And a good mix of both? Now that's where the magic happens. Now, here's a pro tip. Being smart isn't about knowing everything. It's about knowing something in a way that's useful. You don't have to be the person who's constantly correcting others or dropping random facts. Instead, know enough to be interesting. That way, people respect you without feeling like you're showing off. All right, you've decided to read. But where to start? Forget the must-read lists. Pick a topic that actually interests you. Just type best books about anything you like into Google, and voila. You'll have a ton of options. And hey, if some of those books happen to be pricey, I won't judge if you accidentally find a free PDF online. No one needs to know. Here's the catch. Learning doesn't stick unless you actually use it. You could read all day, but if it's just sitting in your head gathering dust, it's not doing much. The best way to get smarter is to apply what you're learning. For instance, if you read a chapter on budgeting, try making a budget. If you read about cooking, try making a recipe. The more you do, the more it sticks. Now, let's say you're reading about something you can't try right away, like repairing a car. You don't need an actual car to practice. Just imagine it. Walk through each step mentally. Research shows that visualization alone can help your brain hold on to information. It's like a rehearsal for the real thing, and your mind treats it almost as if you'd done it. Another key to getting smarter is making connections between different things you learn. Knowledge is sticky. The more you link it to what you already know, the easier it is to remember. For example, if you're learning about how plants grow, connect it to the idea of growth in your own life. It sounds cheesy, but it works. Now, if you want to take things further, create situations where you have to recall what you've learned. Pretend you're in a high-stakes trivia game or explain the concept to a friend, even if that friend is imaginary. Creating your own tests is a sneaky way to convince your brain to hold on to information because it thinks you'll need it soon. One last thing to remember. Repetition is your friend, but not the boring kind where you read the same chapter 10 times. Try reading about the same topic from different sources. Each new perspective adds another layer, making it easier to recall later. If something doesn't stick right away, just find a different way to learn it. At the end of the day, the smartest people aren't the ones who know everything. They're the ones who know how to learn anything. They're resourceful. They know how to ask questions, connect dots, and make things happen. And the good news is, you don't need a PhD or a genius IQ to do the same. So go ahead, dive into topics that interest you, practice what you can, visualize the rest, and create ways to make what you've learned stick. And remember, the goal isn't to be the smartest person in the room. It's to be someone who keeps learning and growing, because that's the real secret to being smart. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit subscribe. You'd be funding our mission to make learning simple, useful, and a lot more fun. And who knows? Maybe one day we'll all be a little smarter for it.